Welcome to Engaged Company Culture, a podcast directed at you, helping you to stop the employee exodus in your organization. This podcast has 3 different types of episodes. First, you have tips, tricks, observations, stories, research from me, Dr. Catherine Weiberg of Profitable Alignment. Second, interviews with other consultants, other coaches who are here to serve you so you can learn other tips and tricks to engaging your employees, to stop the employee exodus, to consciously create and continue a company culture where people want to be and where they encourage other people to come to work and to become your customers. Third, I interview other business leaders who have engaged company cultures and want to share their stories. You might learn from them how they have applied principles of company culture to increase their employee retention, increase their profits, increase their productivity, and increase everyone's job satisfaction. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Engaged Company Culture. Our guest today is Patricia Roberts, the Chief Operating Officer of Gift of College. She's also the author of Route 529, a parent's guide to saving for college and career training with 529 plans. Patricia has helped thousands of families avoid millions of dollars in student loan debt over the past 20 plus years by sharing her expertise about planning ahead for higher education expenses with 529 plans. She is the author of Route 529, a parent's guide to saving for college and career training with 529 plans, and a go-to source for the media and others wanting to learn about these plans. She is Chief Operating Officer at Gift of College Incorporated, where she helps employers reduce employee stress associated with the high cost of higher education by offering education-related financial wellness benefits. This is why she is speaking to our audience today, because she works directly with companies. As a first-generation student from a low-income family, she merely missed the opportunity to go to college, but managed to earn both an undergraduate and law degree while working multiple jobs. Patricia considers the attainment of higher education as the reason she was able to significantly improve the quality of her life and that of her mom and siblings. She is the proud mom of a recent debt-free college graduate and is on a mission to help others achieve their higher education dreams with as little debt and regret as possible. Patricia, welcome. I am so excited for everybody to hear from you.
Thank you for having me here today. I'm very happy to be with you.
I am wanting to know, because I want this audience to understand exactly what you're bringing here. Why do you feel it is important to educate both individuals and employers about the existence and usefulness of 529 college savings plans, as well as ways to minimize student loan debt?
Great question. One of the reasons I feel it is essential to educate both employers and individuals about the existence and usefulness of 529 plans is that so few Americans understand what these plans are and can even identify them. 65% of Americans have not heard of 529 college savings plans, even though they've been around for over 25 years. And those who do know about them really don't understand how they work. And there's a lot of misunderstanding around these plans. So I am intent on raising awareness of them, both direct to the audience of individuals and even more efficiently through employers, because I feel in the workplace, employees are often getting educated on issues about which they should be aware. They're receiving education on retirement, other wellness benefits, and I think it's a great place to reach individuals who really need to know about these plans. It's really a one-to-many approach by talking to employers. And I know employers need ways to help engage, retain, attract top talent these days. And I think this is one way to consider adding value to your organization.
Thank you. I have to say, I'm one of the 65% of Americans who knew nothing about this. I got all of my degrees, my associate, my bachelor's, my master's, and my doctorate on student loans. I really would have preferred to have this 529 plan. Now, my mother saved some money for me for college, but it certainly was nothing like what you have taught me about 529 plans. And I also have to agree that benefits are a big deal for employees. It's not just the pay, it's what else do you as a company show me or use to show me that I'm valuable? How are you helping me? So many people are stressed about finances, stressed about how am I going to pay for my college or my children's college. So I think this is a fantastic benefit to give. I wish my companies, when I was an employee, had known about this.
You're right. And you know what? This is the way I learned about 529 plans at my job in the late 1990s. I learned about them because I was given an assignment to learn about them because I was working at Citigroup at the time, and they were interested in getting into the business of helping families save money for higher education and to manage those investments through becoming a program manager for a 529 plan. And they needed somebody like me to learn about how these plans work. I would have been just like you, Catherine, not knowing had I not been at an organization where I was required to learn about them. But it's really the way that I was able to save for my son's future was learning, first of all, having the knowledge of the existence and usefulness of these plans, and then having the ability to contribute directly to them from my paycheck. Because at the time my son came around, my husband and I owed over $100,000 in student loan debt, and we had no idea how we were going to both get that paid down and begin to save for this child's future. But because I knew about 529, because my employer enabled me to contribute direct from my paycheck, we were able to save a little bit at a time. And it made it so much easier, even though it was a struggle at first with a new child and all the new expenses associated with it. Having a systematic way to just put a little away at a time really made it a lot easier. And you will not know this, but I do. There has been studies that have shown that individuals save 75% more in 529 plans when they send the money direct from their paycheck into the plan. Why is that? Because the money doesn't first cross their hands and there's not an opportunity to divert it to another priority or expense. So it is very efficient to save at work into 529 plans and to learn about these plans there. And I'm so grateful. I don't think we could have done it otherwise had I not stumbled upon the existence of these plans and had the ability to just do a little at a time. I think it's the best way to contribute. Certainly there are other ways to contribute, but that's a good one. Just setting it up and having it flow directly.
I love it. I'm just sitting here being excited because the 529 sounds like a 401k automatic deduction straight into your paycheck. And it's building in similar ways, but you get to use it for college education instead of waiting for retirement. So tell us a little bit more from a high level. What exactly does a 529 college plan look like? What is it?
Yes, and that's a great observation, comparing it to a retirement plan, which is often offered at work. The difference there, so that your audience understands, is that with the retirement plans, it's pre-tax dollars typically that go into the plans. But with 529 plans, it's after-tax dollars. So you've earned the money and you've paid tax on them. But once they're deposited into these special accounts that are under Section 529 of the Internal Revenue Code, that's where that comes from. So there's Section 401k of the Internal Revenue Code. This is 529. These accounts, once the money is contributed to them, they grow. The earnings grow without being taxed. So unlike other forms of investments, if you have a brokerage account or a bank account, you're probably getting a tax statement at year end on the earnings, whatever those earnings, we hope there'll be earnings that were being reported in recent times, but there's tax owed on the growth of other types of accounts, not on 529. So these accounts were set up more than 25 years ago for states to roll them out to incent their residents to save for various forms of higher education, and as an incentive for the earnings not to be taxed. And in fact, those earnings will never be taxed as long as the money, once withdrawn by the account owner, is used for some form of higher education. And it's not just college. Yes, four-year colleges, traditional colleges that you may think of, universities, but also two-year colleges, community colleges, trade and technical schools, professional studies, graduate studies. You've got a PhD, could have used it for that. Everybody can use these for a variety of forms of higher education. And there are lists available in the U.S. Department of Education's website that show you the types of institutions. It's a broad range. Even certain registered apprenticeships can be used for higher education. So that's how these accounts work. What else can I tell you about them? In addition to that federal tax-free growth while in the account, tax-free withdrawals, as long as used for higher education expenses, over 35 states and the District of Columbia further incent their residents by giving an annual state tax deduction or credit for contributions to these accounts. So depending on what state you're in, you may get the added benefit of being able to count your contributions against your state income tax obligation. So that's an additional incentive. And once you're at an approved or eligible institution of higher learning, and we said there's a variety of them, the funds can be used for tuition, fees, room and board, books and supplies, and even computers. They can be used for on-campus or off-campus housing, as long as the off-campus housing doesn't exceed what the school's cost of attendance is on their website. The schools typically break out what that cost is. So you can't go live in a,
Penthouse.
$1 million place and take it out of your account. But if you're living off campus, as my son was, his was actually cheaper than living on campus. You can deduct from the account and use it for that off campus housing and the food and things that your child is utilizing while studying at college, as long as they're studying at least half time. So
Wow.
Those are the basics of 529 plans. They did get expanded a few years ago to cover K-12 tuition as well. That's a little bit of a complicated factor. Many people like the idea of that. And it's good that there is that expansion, but in my view, if you're using it for K-12 tuition, I'm not sure how much you would have left for higher education, which was the original purpose of these accounts, but individuals should know that they can do that as well.
Fascinating. That is fascinating. So our 501, forgive me. So are 529 plans interest bearing? Are they investment accounts like in the stock market or mutual funds, or
all of that? So yes.
Very cool.
So most of the states that have 529 plans, every state except for Wyoming happens to have one. They typically hire an investment manager to invest the funds in various ways. I think 5 or 7 of the states manage the investments themselves with their own investment teams, but there's an investment component. Many of the states, almost all of them, have various portfolios that are set up to be age-based or target date based on the age of the beneficiary or the estimated time that they'll be attending college. And those are put together by professional portfolio managers with a mix of investments that are more equity driven when the child's young and become more conservative as that target date nears. So that's one type of investment. Other plans do indeed have stable value options, FDIC insured options. Not every state has that, but there's a wide range of options. Most are in the stock market. Some are FDIC insured, but it allows the individual who's investing for higher education or saving for higher education to choose for themselves what type of investment they would like to have their money in. And that's often based on the age of the beneficiary, certainly the account owner or family's risk tolerance, how close are they to needing the funds for their intended purpose, and other investing objectives in terms of what the family's priorities are. But I would say most states have a variety of options. They explain them quite clearly online. You can invest directly with the 529 program, or you can do so with the advice and guidance of a financial professional. You don't need a financial professional to invest, but I would say if you have one who's helping you with other investment matters, why not engage them on this particular pursuit? The cost of college winds up being oftentimes the second largest investment, second only to home purchase, that a family will make. So if you've got a financial professional, why not ask them about investing in a 529 plan or some other option that they might have in mind for you, given their knowledge of your circumstances.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of employers in the US right now currently offer 529 college savings or student loan repayment benefits?
Well, according to the Society for Human Resource Management's Benefits Survey 2020, I think is the most recent one, 10% of employers are offering payroll deduction to 529 college savings plans. So 10%, with only 1% of that 10% matching contributions. So they're offering education on 529 plans and payroll deduction to them. That's 10%, according to SHRM, 1% matching. And in terms of student loan, let me check my data, 8% of employers, according to SHRM, offering student loan repayment assistance. Now, those are 2020 numbers. Those numbers, I hope, are higher by now, but they're still not that high, which is why I believe firmly offering 529 as a benefit, ideally matching something into it, maybe a one-time contribution by the employer or a monthly match of some sort, would be a great idea. And then the tax-free student loan repayment assistance, it's another great idea. So you're offering the 529 to help people avoid student loan debt. In terms of the student loan repayment assistance, you're helping those who are really drowning with it in the first place, and maybe trying to save, as I once was, for their own child's future. Do you want me to comment on the CARES Act and how that helps employers to offer the student loan repayment assistance? Because that's
I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to hear that. And then I want to hear what you have observed in the companies that offer these benefits. So let's start with the CARES Act and how that helps.
Sure. So the CARES Act of 2020, through that, employers became able to begin to offer student loan repayment assistance of up to $5,250 per year per employee, tax-free to the employee, so no income tax on that, no payroll tax on it from the employer standpoint, and as a business tax deduction for the employer. So win-win-win under the CARES Act. Now, the CARES Act had that due to expire at the end of 2020, but it got extended for 5 years by the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2021. So through January 1, 2026, through January 1, 2026, employers can offer tax-free student loan repayment assistance to their employees in the amount of up to $5,250 a year. And how do they do that? They do that by expanding their current tuition reimbursement plan. Many employers have, under the tax code section 127, a tuition reimbursement or educational assistance plan. You might recall those plans allow the employer to offer tuition assistance of up to $5,250 a year. So what happened with the CARES Act and through the Consolidated Appropriations Act is that provision got extended to cover student loan debt as well. So it's really an existing provision under the IRS into which student loan repayment got dropped. So employers are now allowed to either offer the tuition assistance that they were, offer student loan repayment assistance. They could do a little of both for employees as long as the amount doesn't exceed $5,250 a year. But I think it's a great benefit. We know that there's student loan forgiveness perhaps underway. I know there's a lot of talk about whether and when that's going to go through. But regardless, there's still a tremendous amount of debt that's still going to be outstanding, even for those who are able to avail themselves of it. So I think it's a great benefit for employers if they can do it tax-free and they can take a business tax deduction. Why not consider offering it? Absolutely.
Honestly, thank you.
Yes.
So have you worked closely with employers who were not offering these types of benefits and then were offering these types of benefits, that you can say what changed in their culture or how employees seem to perceive their employers?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my general observation is enhanced satisfaction among employees, a lot of pride from the employer's perspective. Employers like, meeting employees where they're at to the extent they can. And while these benefits aren't for every employee, there's a lot of employees that have student loan debt. And in fact, it's not just recent graduates. Many people are reaching their later years, reaching, in fact, the end of their lives, and they still haven't paid back their student loan debt. So these student loan benefits really cover many employees from young to old. And in terms of helping individuals who are employees plan for future education expenses, that helps employees who potentially want to be adult learners themselves, want to go on for an advanced degree, as you did, as I once did. It's not just for people who have children, so it could be any employee who wants to save. It can also be for individuals who have loved ones who they'd like to save for. It doesn't necessarily have to be their own child. 529 plans allow anyone to open an account for anyone else, as long as they have a Social Security or tax ID number here in the US. The beneficiary could really be unrelated to the adult who opens the account. So this could be grandparents, it could be aunts and uncles, could be individuals saving for themselves or saving for their own children. I think that covers a lot of employees. So we're hearing about increased satisfaction. We're hearing about companies feeling quite proud to be offering these, companies who are advertising that they're offering these benefits and trying to distinguish themselves, particularly in a tough hiring marketplace where there's lots of competition. Employers are really interested. And in fact, some of the organizations we deal with, their marketing teams are interested in it and interested in announcing it, right? About the company, showing the company culture is concerned about this. Employers often require higher education in order to be hired. They understand the importance of education. They understand the cost of it as well. And to the extent they can help, even in small ways, it's really beneficial. The other thing we're hearing, which isn't really surprising if you think about it, but offering educational benefits, particularly on the student loan side, and also on the 529 side, which helps people avoid student loans, is that these benefits can be considered an enhancement to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. because it is women that hold 2/3 of the outstanding student loan debt. And it is women, Blacks, and members of the LGBTQ plus community that have the greatest challenges in repaying the debt. I have some information that says Black college graduates owe on average $25,000 more in student loan debt than their white colleagues. And then there's been a great study out of UCLA School of Law. It's called the Williams Institute, that really focuses on the impact of student loan debt on the LGBTQ plus community. And that's more adverse than other populations. So for employers that are interested in making certain that they have good diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in place, this happens to fall very nicely into that. Certainly these benefits benefit everyone, but these particular populations are having the hardest time with student loan debt for a variety of reasons, and it can really help with, I think, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I love that you brought up the diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I recently attended a DEI training that just enhanced everything. I go to those regularly. One of the things that we talked about is access to higher education and how that has been a systemic problem, and all of the ways that we try to make it less of a problem. And the 529 and the student loan repayment is, I completely agree with you, a fantastic way to help employers show that they are offering this to all of their employees, that it is a benefit to encourage people to further their education, that every seat at the table has a voice and matters, and that inclusion truly happens to overcome the systemic challenges of the past and make it affordable and possible for everybody.
I think that's right. And one thing I want to say about the student loan tax-free repayment provisions under the CARES Act is, even though those are due to expire on January 1st, 2026, they can be extended by Congress. So keep in mind, they may not, they're currently due to expire, but even at that, employers have tax year 2022, 23, 24, and 25, in which they can give $5,250 per employee. So that's $5,250 times 4, we're over $20,000, which could be really substantial to an employee. And even if you gave a fraction of that, you don't have to do the full amount, can really help individuals. And I think during this pandemic, for those who have worked remotely, employers have gotten a vision into people's homes, right? We're seeing their homes, we're seeing what's happening in their lives. I'm sure children have come into the picture from time to time. And I think employers are probably more cognizant than ever about employees' circumstances and what they have in their life and what's important to them. And I think helping educate and empower employees, particularly on the 529 side, can be really valuable for those. If my employer helped me, by matching contributions into my son's account, I think that would be great. If my employer educated me about what I could do, even if they didn't match, I think that would be great, right? There's lots of reasons why an employee would feel grateful for the employer's involvement here. So I'm so happy every time I go in and give a presentation, I see employees on the screen, their eyes lighting up. They didn't know about this. Now they know about it. Some employers, by the way, and there's a really major one that I now know of, they're giving my book to employees who have a new addition to their family. So they're giving my book, Route 529, to employees as part of their maternity or paternity package. And they're giving my company's gift cards. My company, Gift of College, has gift cards that can be deposited into any 529 plan account or any student loan account. So to either pay down student loan debt or save for college. But some employers are coupling my book with a gift card as sort of the starter contribution for $529 instead of giving the silver spoon or the $150 floral arrangement or the something that's going to get quickly outgrown. So I love the trends I'm seeing. There are different ways that employers are doing it. And some employers, you may or may not know, have rewards and recognition programs. You may have worked for an employer in the past. I know when I worked at Merrill Lynch, we could give an on-the-spot award to a colleague. And they have like Dunkin' Donut gift cards or Starbucks or Amazon. Our gift cards, Gift of College, are now being put in the mix by employers. And wouldn't it be nice? These gift cards are in denominations starting at $25. Even a $25 contribution to your child's account as an on-the-spot award, or having the ability to choose something like this to pay down your student loan debt, I think is really valuable. So I love the work we're doing with employers. And I've seen everything from just the education on 529 plans to the education and payroll deduction, to the education, payroll deduction, and matching. And the matching, there's one company, a really large company, that's doing just $100 match, but they'll match any employee's account when they get it started to save for college. And doesn't matter if they're saving for a niece or nephew. It doesn't matter if it's for themselves or their child. The company matches 100. That's a one-time match, but employees don't like to leave money on the table.
No.
So that's one approach. And then other employers are doing like $100 a month, $50 a paycheck. So that comes out to a good amount each year. And employees are really appreciating whatever's going on. It's an important topic. And I love talking about it as a mom who's been there.
Exactly. My children are all approaching college age, and I wish I had known this then. I am excited because there's still some opportunity.
That's
so
right.
It's an exciting, wonderful thing.
You know, one other thing I just thought of, friends and family do not know generally what to buy your children for holidays, birthdays, milestones, other special occasions. If you can, as a family, start the tradition of letting those loved ones know that you appreciate their generosity, but you really don't need any more stuffed animals, you know, toys, little outfits that get outgrown really quickly, or things that really just wind up cluttering up your home, or being, you know, loved by the child for just a short period of time and then discard it. You can ask friends and family instead to make a contribution, even a $25 contribution for every birthday, every holiday. Some birthdays, some holidays can really add up. They could buy the child's books and supplies eventually if it grows in value over time, right? So I would encourage your listeners, I know many are employers, but they're also individuals with their own families, to consider asking family members to forego the big gifts that really are quickly outgrown or discarded, and consider something like this as a more meaningful contribution. And then maybe just a smaller something for the child to open if they really wanted something. I think that can really make a difference in the long run. And it gets everybody engaged in the conversation about the child's future, which is kind of exciting, right? When people are investing in the child's future, as that child grows and develops, that could be interesting conversations around the Thanksgiving table. What are you interested in? What change do you want to see in the world? What are your passions or talents? And I think, you know, that could serve everybody well if the broader family had a stake in a child's future versus buying a bunch of stuff that ends up in like a garage sale or something, right?
Right. I love it. Thank you for that.
Sure.
If an employer or an individual wants to reach out to you, especially to get a copy of the book Route 529, but for anything, for presentations, what have you, what is the best way for somebody to reach you? And we
Sure.
will put it in the show notes, but what's best?
Put them in the show notes. They can reach me at giftofcollege.com. So Patricia, Patricia, at giftofcollege.com. And then my book, you can certainly get it through me directly, but it's available on Amazon. It is Route, ROUTE 529. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Route 529 mom, if you wanted to follow some of the things I'm doing. But I would be delighted to help any employer, at minimum, educate their employees about the existence of 529 plans, and ideally to help, put a payroll deduction plan in place and help them with the student loan debt repayment. Why would you not consider it if you're looking for ways to keep your employees, improve loyalty, retention, attraction? Definitely worth considering under the CARES Act. And I think far too many employers know nothing about it. So I can send you, Catherine, a copy of a Forbes article I wrote on this subject.
Yes.
Maybe in the link so people can see how it works, but I can definitely help with all of this. And I'm very active on LinkedIn. You may know that because we're both connected there.
Yes.
Look for my LinkedIn profile, Patricia Roberts, Gift of College.
Perfect. We'll get it all in the links so everybody can have them and reach out and have access. Every time I talk to you about this, I get excited. So thank you. Thank you for sharing this with us today.
My pleasure.
Everybody who has been listening, there are so many ways to engage employees and to really help them know they're valued. Patricia Roberts brought us the gift of college. This is something for you, your employees, your family, everybody with whom you come in contact. Engage your company culture. Please tune into Engaged Company Culture podcast on your preferred viewing or listening platform. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to or viewing today's Engaged Company Culture episode. I hope you have enjoyed the episode. I hope you have learned something and have something that you can apply today to engage your company culture and encourage your employees to enjoy work, looking forward to Mondays instead of only looking forward to Fridays. If you liked this episode, please share it with someone else you know. Also, like and subscribe to Engaged Company Culture anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a wonderful day.